Dear students, this is the e-learning platform of Cambridge International School, Dasua. I am Kamaljeet Sharma, PGT Accountancy, teaching accountancy to the students for grade 11th and 12th in Cambridge International School. And this session is for the subject of accountancy for grade 11th commerce. Students, as you know, we have started chapter number 8, that is journal, from your book Double Entry Bookkeeping by T.S. Garewal. In this chapter, you have learned about the formation of journal entries. Today, we will do some example questions from this chapter. I hope this session would help you to understand this chapter. Today, we will continue this chapter, that is chapter number 8, journal. Before starting the journal entries, let us revise the rules to form a journal entry. All the traditional rules and modern rules which we have studied in the chapter number 6. These rules are very much important while formation of journal entries of a business. Students, the accounts are classified on two bases, that is traditional approach and modern approach. We have learned about the traditional approach. Traditional approach is also called English approach, whereas modern approach is also called American approach. In traditional approach, there are broadly two types of account, personal account and impersonal account. Personal accounts are further classified into natural personal accounts, artificial personal accounts, and representative personal accounts. Whereas impersonal accounts are further classified into real accounts and nominal accounts. Personal account, as the name appears, related with person. So natural person's account, for example, Ram account, Sham account, Sita, Geeta, Ina, Meena, these all are natural personal accounts. Artificial personal accounts are those which are non-living beings, not living beings, but we have some names for the establishments. For example, ICICI Bank, Cambridge International School, say Gupta Cloth Emporium, say Pizza Hut, Domino's, all these establishments which carry a name but non-living beings. That's why they are called artificial personal accounts. Representative personal accounts are those which represents a group or an item. For example, outstanding expenses like salaries outstanding, prepaid expenses like prepaid insurance, accrued incomes like accrued commission or accrued interest, unearned incomes like advance commission. Whereas impersonal accounts which do not have any relation with any person, these are classified into real account. Real means actually. So all assets lies under the category of real account. Nominal accounts, as the name appears, nominal, which means it is nothing. But for our convenience, we have given them some names. For example, all the expenses, losses, incomes and gains lies under the category of nominal account. So for the purpose of balancing the accounts or preparation of accounts or for journal entries, all these we have used these traditional approach accounts in the form of personal, real or nominal account. Whereas in the modern approach, we'll be using types of accounts in the name of assets account, liability account, capital account, revenue account or expenses account. We have categorized into these five accounts. Let us revise the traditional approach. The rule for personal account is debit the receiver and credit the giver. The rule for real account is debit what comes in, credit what goes out. And the rule for nominal account is debit all expenses and losses, credit all incomes and gains. Now we will start the modern approach. We have identified or categorized the total accounts in five categories: assets, liabilities, capital, revenue and expenses. First of all, we have to identify the accounts involved in the transaction, whether it is asset or a liability or a capital or a revenue or expense. Let us discuss assets. Assets. If there is any increase in the asset of the organization given in that transaction, the increase in asset will be debited, whereas decrease in the assets will be credited. Now comes the liability. If the value of liabilities increases, it will be credited. And if the value of liabilities decreases, it will be debited. Now comes the capital. If the capital of the proprietor increases in the business, if the balance of the capital increases in the business, it must be credited. And if the capital decreases, it must be debited. Now comes the revenue. Now what is revenue? Revenue is the amount received from the sale of goods and services. So if there is any increase in revenue, it should be credited, or if there is decrease in the revenue, it should be debited. Now comes the expenses. Expenses are the amount spent to generate the revenue. So if there is any increase in the expenses of the organization, these expenses are debited. And if there is any decrease in the expenses, it should be credited. Students, now we will learn the formation of journal entries. There are three simple steps to be followed for recording a journal entry. The step one is simply identify the accounts involved in the transaction. Then the second step is judge the nature of accounts involved, whether it is a personal, a real or a nominal account. The step 3, that is analyze the effect, then apply the rule and form a journal entry. Let us take an example. For example, cash received from Ram rupees 9,000. In this transaction, there are two accounts involved. One is cash, another is Ram. Cash, being an asset, comes under the category of real account. Ram is a natural person, comes under the category of personal account. Now, in the first step, we have identified the accounts involved. That is, cash and Ram are the two accounts involved in the transaction. After that, in the second step, we judge the nature of these accounts involved. The cash is an asset, so it comes under the category of real account, whereas Ram is a natural person, comes under the category of personal account. Now we'll move to step number 3. In the step number 3, we have to analyze the effect. So it is very much clear from the transaction that cash is coming into the business. So cash comes into the business, whereas Ram is the giver. Means Ram gives the money to the business. So after analyzing the effect, we have to apply the rule. So as per traditional approach, the rule for a real account is debit what comes in and credit what goes out. Here cash comes into the business, so cash must be debited. And as per the personal account rule, it is debit the receiver and credit the giver. So here Ram is giver to the business, so Ram must be credited. So we will check the first step and the last step, that is third step. So here cash is debited, Ram is credited. So follow these simple steps to form a journal entry. Students, after revising the rules of debit and credit and understanding the steps to be taken to form a journal entry with the help of an example, now we will try to form few journal entries taking an example question. Let us start with the discussion of banking transactions. Please pay attention to it. Business normally make and receive payments through a bank account. Payments by check, check received, withdrawal of cash from bank, deposit into bank, bank charges, bank interest, etc. These are some examples of banking transactions. If the books of account shows a debit balance in the bank account, it means that much amount is lying deposited in the bank. And if the books of accounts shows a credit balance in the bank account, it means that much amount is over withdrawn and is payable to bank. At the time of recording bank transactions, it should be kept in mind that bank account is personal account and rule of debit and credit for a personal account is debit the receiver and credit the giver. This rule is to apply. Whenever a deposit is made in a bank, bank account is debited, and whenever withdrawal is made, bank account is credited. For example, cash deposit into bank increases the bank balance, but when we deposit the cash into the bank, bank is the receiver. Hence, bank account is to be debited. Cash withdrawal from the bank reduces the bank balance. It means bank is the giver. Thus, bank account is credited. So let us understand the journal entries relating to banking transactions. The first entry is cash deposit for opening an account. It means we have to pay cash to the bank. It means bank is the receiver and cash goes out of the business. So the journal entry would be bank account debit to cash account. And if in the second entry we withdrew the cash, means the entry for cash withdrawn is cash account to bank account, because at the time of cash withdrawal, cash comes into the business and bank is the giver. So debit what comes in and credit the giver. Then cash withdrawn for bank for personal use. Anything which is withdrawn by the proprietor for personal use is called drawings. So in this case, we will use drawings account, not capital account, because due to drawings, his capital reduces. So whenever the proprietor withdrew anything from the business for personal use, we will debit the drawings account. Since proprietor is receiving the money, so drawings account would be debited. Debit the receiver, personal account rule, to bank account, because bank is the giver. The next entry is payment by check to a creditor, say Rakesh. Rakesh is receiver and bank is the giver. Simple rule of personal account applies here. Rakesh account debit to bank account. Suppose payment by draft to a creditor, say Vikas. So when we make a draft from the bank, bank charges some amount for draft making charges. So these are the expenses for the business. So in that case, Vikas account debit because Vikas is the receiver, so debit the receiver. Bank charges are an expenses, so bank charges must be debited as per the nominal account rule. And bank is the giver because the money will be reduced out of our bank account. So our bank account is the giver of the payment. So credit the giver. Next is payment of expenses, say rent through check. Expenses are nominal nature and rule for a nominal account is debit all expense and losses, credit all incomes and gains. So rent here must be debited. And who is paying the payment? Bank on our behalf because we issued a check. So bank is the giver. So rent account debit to bank account. Next is charges paid to or charged by the bank. So bank charges are expenses. So all expenses must be debited as per the rule of nominal account. And bank is the giver. Bank account is deducted. So bank charges account debit to bank account. Next entry is check or draft received from a debtor. Say Rahul. Rahul is our debtor and he pays to us by a draft. Now we are not making a draft. We are receiving the draft. In that case, there is no draft charges, no bank charges. Simply we are receiving the draft from the Rahul and deposited the draft into the bank on the same day. So when we deposit the draft to bank, our bank account will be the receiver, debit the receiver. And who is giving the draft? Rahul. So Rahul must be credited, credit the giver as per the rule of personal account. The next entry is check or draft received from a debtor, say Ankur, and not deposited in the bank on the same day. Because we have received the draft or the check and did not deposited this check or the draft into the bank, so it must be lying with us. So there is no involvement of bank here. In that case, we will treat that draft or the check as a cash. Or we can also write here check in hand account debit or draft in hand account debit. So cash, if we treat it as a cash that is debit what comes into the business. And who is the giver? Ankur. But if we'll pass the record the journal entry as check in hand account debit, that is also comes into the business. So check in hand account debit to Ankur account is also correct. Next is above check or draft is deposited into the bank. When we deposit this draft into the bank, bank will be the receiver. So bank account debit to cash account in case when we treat the draft or the check as a cash. But if we have treated the check or the draft as check in hand account, then here the entry would be bank account debit to check in hand account. Now if that check or the draft which we have received from a debtor is dishonored, it means the bank has not received the payment, but we have debited the bank in the previous entry. Assuming that bank is receiving the payment, bank has received the payment, but at the time of dishonor of the check or the draft, since draft in case of draft there is no dishonor, but in case of check there is a dishonor. There is a possibility of dishonor of check, that is bounce of a check. When a check received from a debtor is dishonored, he again becomes debtor and the personal account of the debtor is debited. It means when we receive back the check from the bank, we will transfer or hand over that check or draft to the check, or not in case of draft, we will hand over that check to the concerned debtor. So again the debtor is receiving that draft, so debit the receiver Ankur. And who is giving that draft? Bank is returning the draft, so banks become again our creditor. So bank account debit to Ankur account debit to bank account. Next one is interest charged by bank. Interest is an expense, so debit all expense and losses. And our bank account deducted for the payment of the expenses. So bank is the giver. So interest account debit to bank account. Interest allowed by the bank is the next entry. It means we are receiving the interest. Interest received is an income. That's why it must be credited. So bank account debit to interest receive account. Then bank makes payment on firm's behalf. Say insurance premium as per the standing instructions normally we do these days. So when insurance premium is paid, insurance premium is an expense. It must be debited, and the bank is paying the payment. That's why he is the giver to bank account. So insurance premium account debit to bank account is the journal entry for the payments on behalf of firm made by bank. Then dues collected by bank on firm behalf, say dividend. So dividend is an income. It must be credited, and who is collecting the amount? Bank. So bank is the receiver. So debit the receiver and credit all incomes and gain. Bank account debit to dividend account. The next entry is repayment of loan in cash. For example, if we have taken a loan from the bank and we are paying that loan, repaying that loan in cash. So bank loan, it means we are depositing the money into the bank. So bank loan account debit the receiver to cash account, because cash goes out of the business. Repayment of bank loan by issue of check. In that case, bank loan account debit to bank account, because our bank account is paying the repaying the loan. Then transfer of funds from one account to another, say from SBI to PNB. So bank account debit to bank account, but in brackets we will use the name of the bank. Debit the receiver, credit the giver. The bank who is receiving the payment must be debited, and who is paying the payment, giving the payment, is credited. Now we are taking an example question. In this, Ramesh started business with cash rupees 1 lakh. It means here the accounts involved are Ramesh and cash. Ramesh is the owner, so his account be termed as capital. So two accounts, cash and capital. Cash comes into the business and Ramesh is giver, so cash account debit to capital account. Then paid into bank, it means we are depositing money into the bank. So two accounts involved are bank and cash. In next entry for April 3rd, bought goods for cash. It means purchases. When we purchase goods, bought goods, it means purchases. So purchases or cash are the two accounts involved in the transaction. Then drew cash from bank for office use. It means bank and cash are involved. Then sold goods to Krishna. Krishna and sales are involved. Bought goods from Shyam, means Shyam and purchases are involved. Krishna returned goods. Goods once sold but returned back by the customer due to any reason are called sales returns. So debit what comes in. Sales return account debit to Krishna account. Then received from Krishna 12,500, allowed him discount 500. See the entry for April 13. We have sold goods to Krishna worth rupees 15,000. Out of those 15,000, on April 22nd, Krishna returned goods worth rupees 2,000. Out of 15,000, he has returned the goods worth rupees 2,000. It means he is supposed to pay us 13,000 rupees. 15,000 minus 2,000. So 13,000. Out of those 13,000, we have allowing him discount of rupees 500. It means there is a compound entry for April 24. Here cash is involved, Krishna is involved, and discount allowed is involved. In the next entry for April 28, we have paid cash to the Shyam 21,500 and discount received 1,000. See the entry for April 20th. We have received goods worth rupees 22,500 from the Shyam. It means 22,500 is payable, and here on April 28 we are paying 21,500. It means we have received a discount of rupees 1,000. So here again three accounts are involved. Compound entry for this: cash, here is cash, discount received, and Shyam. Then cash sales for the month. It means cash is involved and sales are involved. Then paid rent and cash is involved. Again on April 30th, paid salaries. So salaries means expenses and cash is involved. Now we will solve this, or you can say record the entries for these transactions. First entry is cash account debit to capital account. Cash comes into the business and owner is giver. So debit what comes in, credit the giver, 1 lakh rupees, started business with cash. Then we are depositing the money into bank. So bank is the receiver, debit the receiver and credit what goes out. Bank account debit to cash account. Then purchases account debit to cash. Purchases are the expenses, debit all expenses and losses, and cash goes out of the business, cash outflow out of the business. So to credit what goes out means cash to cash account. So purchases to cash account. Next is April 4. Drew from bank for office use. It means cash comes into the business and bank is the giver. So debit what comes in and credit the giver. April 4, cash account debit to bank account 10,000 rupees drew from bank for office use. The next is Krishna to sales. Because goods were sold to Krishna on credit, so Krishna is the receiver, Krishna account debit, debit the receiver, and sales are the income, credit all incomes and gain. So Krishna account debit to sales account. Next is purchase goods on credit from Shyam. So purchases account debited like expenses must be debited to Shyam account, means credit the giver. Next is goods returned by Krishna. So sales return account debit to Krishna account. Goods once sold and returned by the customer due to any reason are called sales return. So debit what comes in and credit the giver. Sales return account debit to Krishna account. Now on April 13, we have sold goods worth rupees 15,000 to Krishna, out of which goods worth rupees 2,000 were returned by Krishna. So 15,000 minus 2,000 is 13,000. So we have to receive 13,000 from Krishna, and on April 24th, when he paid to us, we allowed him a discount of rupees 500. So here cash is involved because cash comes into the business. Discount allowed is an expense for us. It must be debited and Krishna is the giver. So cash account debit, discount account debit to Krishna account. Next is Shyam. On April 20th, we purchased goods from Shyam on credit worth rupees 22,500. On April 30th, when we are paying to Shyam cash, he allowed us discount. So discount received is an income, it must be credited. So debit the receiver, Ram is receiving the cash, debit the receiver, that is 22,500 to cash, which is goes out 21,500 to discount received. It is an income for the business, 1,000 rupees. Next entry is cash sales. Cash comes into the business, sales are income. Cash account debit to sales account. Rent. Rent is an expense and debit all expenses and losses to cash because cash goes out of the business. So debit all expense and losses, credit what goes out. Rent account debit to cash. Same like previous entry, salaries are also an expense. Expenses must be debited and cash goes out. So salaries account debit to cash account. Students, in this session, we have learned about the banking transactions and solved one example using the traditional approach to rules of debit and credit. I hope this example will help you to understand the concepts of this topic more easily. Now students, try to understand the basic concepts of this chapter once again and try to solve some illustrations as well as unsolved questions from your book Double Entry Bookkeeping by T.S. Grewal. You can also try to solve some questions from NCERT, but all the questions to be done in your homework notebook. In the next session, we will continue our next topic. Till then, dear students, to stop the COVID-19, stay home. If you don't think about yourself, think about your loved ones. So stay home please, but study regularly.